We do some small talk beforehand when we go live. So we let people come in and then we start the show.
Okay.
So anyway, thank you for coming on tonight. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Linda, do you have a Twitter? Where they can find you at, or any social media or anything like that?
Or what is it you want promoted?
Yeah.
Nothing. Okay. No. I just started a HowTube channel. Okay. HowTube, 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 and the name of the channel is Once Upon a Phenomena.
That's cool.
If that's any help. Yeah. This, I will tell you, this is the very first interview I have ever had.
Yeah, right on. Hi, Eva. Hi, Allie. And if you want to see the chat going on, they're on the right side of your screen. You'll see private chat and comments. Click on comments. And we're slowly getting people coming in. Hey, Alexa. Okay. Hey, Drunk Chrissy. So I usually wait till we get a good amount of people in, and then we get going and start the show.
Fun.
So then we just talk to everyone. So the one that says Freed, that's Eva. She was at the meetup with me.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. Hey, Eva.
So she watched your Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind.
Well, it was Dr. Greer's.
Dr. Greer's,
yes. I worked on it, but that was Dr. Greer's movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have questions for you. All right. Winona. Hey, Chuck. Hello. Welcome. Hi, everybody. So, oh, man. So it's exciting to have on interesting guests. We love the weird here. The weird, the quirky, the unusual.
Boy, you come to the right place.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, Jamie. What's up? Rum to you. Cheers. Yeah. We got a cool little group here.
Nice.
So how did your gathering go?
Oh, good. Yeah. Good. Yep. Good. Yeah, we. I'm assuming you mean the folks I had over the other night.
Yeah.
And we watched a movie, and then we went out in the backfield, and we didn't see a whole lot.
Okay.
A couple of flash bulbs, couple shooting stars. What else? Seems to be somebody else saw something else, but I forget. So it was kind of a quiet night, but it was nice. Yeah. And we quit early because the mosquitoes.
Oh yeah, they've been righteous, haven't they?
Yeah. We have discovered though that sage works well with mosquitoes. Every time I'd get out the sage and sage the area, the mosquitoes would go away for a little while. So
getting the evil out.
They are little demonic bastards. Right? Yes, they are.
Yeah.
And hi, Doug. Thanks for joining us. That's funny. So I will tweet that we are live now. Let's see if we can get the rest of the people in, and there we go.
Okay.
All right. We are live. God, I hate URLs and hashtags. I really do. There we are. So, hey, what's up, Chris? Hi, Fred. Hello, Tingoliath. So nice to see all of you in here tonight. Now, if you guys have questions, don't be shy about asking them. We're going to have some interesting stuff going on.
Yeah, so, please do. Please do ask questions.
Well, Colin, whenever you want to, we can go. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the A Show. I am your host, April Hunter. Across from me is Colin Wysong. And tonight we have a very special guest, Linda Martuch, an extraterrestrial experiencer and a film producer. Linda, welcome. We're happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
So I met Linda at a gathering where she was speaking, and I immediately went up to her afterwards because she had a fascinating story. And I said, would you be on my podcast? I would love for the listeners to hear your story. So would you be able to tell us your story? Because anyone who has experienced an extraterrestrial or multiple extraterrestrial situations, to me, that is just fascinating.
It's pretty out there.
Especially when, there's still people who don't know what to believe. Some believe, some don't believe. And I always felt like it was very arrogant for us to believe that we're the only life out there.
That used to be exactly my position.
So you thought we were the only life out here?
No, I thought it was arrogant to think that we would be the only life. In fact, if you had asked me, I guess it's been about 6 or 7 years now, but if you had asked me 3 days before this event happened, 2 days, 1 day, did I believe in extraterrestrial life?
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I would have thought of is some like kind of humanoid being in a saucer, like, in from like Saturn or, the Pleiades or something, right? And I'd have said, yeah, I mean, come on, it's a numbers game. Because when you look at the sky, and for all those people out there who have never really truly seen a dark sky, all I can do is say, you got to do it. That needs to be on your bucket list. You can't even begin to imagine till you go out in some really dark skies and look at the number of objects out there and realize that of all the objects you're looking at, a whole bunch of them are galaxies, and they have hundreds and millions and trillions and billions of stars around them, right? And all those stars have not all, but most of them have planetary systems. So it's a numbers game. And when you break down the numbers and you look at the number of galaxies and the number of stars, blah, 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 I think they estimate something like, 600 trillion life forms is like the average number of what you would expect to be in the known universe. And don't quote me on that number, but I mean, it's a phenomenal number. It's completely off the scale. But I didn't even know that then. I just thought, well, you run the numbers, right? And yeah, they got to be out there.
That's crazy.
So yeah, go ahead.
So how did you come to have this happen to you?
Okay. There's a lead up. And part of it is that I had a really good life. I mean, I still do have a good life, but I had a completely different, really good life. And I ran a business and I had a boyfriend and we've been together like 20 years. And I had this really solid, stable thing. And I kept feeling like I was supposed to be doing something else. And I didn't know how to describe it. And I didn't know what it was. And I didn't know where it was. And why would I leave? I had my own little business, good money, a super, cushy situation, comfortable. Why in the world would I leave that? But I had this weird pressure and I kept feeling like I'm supposed to be someplace else doing something else. And I couldn't describe it and I didn't know what it was. And why would I give up something I had for nothing just because I had this weird feeling? And the feeling kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And finally it went from a feeling to a thought to a nudge to a push. And by the time I broke, I felt like I had two hands pushing me in the center of my back all the time. I couldn't get rid of it. So one day I just broke and I put the business up for sale and I got rid of the boyfriend and I moved and the little dog died and my whole life got kind of turned upside down. And it turned on a dime. One day I just decided that's it. I'm done. And with this life, I don't know what, but I'm going. So the process of doing all this and selling the business and the boyfriend, took about 1.5 years. And then I finally got it all done. It was really difficult for a lot of reasons. I had a lot of trouble with the sale, had a lot of trouble with the boy. And a renovation, a lot of trouble everywhere. So at the end of this period of about 1.5 years, I suddenly realized, oh my God, I made it. I'm free. It's over. I'm out from underneath this incredible pile of whatever. I was free. And I put my headphones on and I was out in my driveway dancing. Now I have this long driveway and it's wooded. And so I'm out there dancing like nobody can see because nobody can see. And you know how it is. It's like just no inhibitions, got the headphones on, I'm rocking it. And I'm just in love with life, and I'm just thrilled, and I can't believe I made it. So after a little while, a couple of songs, and I'm rocking it, and I kind of get this feeling like I'm having a conversation. And I have a very, very rich inner life. I talk to myself all the time, and I answer. We have great conversations. But this time, it wasn't me on the other end of the conversation. And it took me a little while to kind of realize I'm having a conversation with somebody in my head. And I'm not making it up. And so I just kind of stop, and I'm a little mystified. And I stop right where I am, and I'm standing in the driveway. And I had this chicken coop, and I for some reason I realized I'm orienting kind of like up over the top of the chicken coop, right? And I realize I'm not talking to one person. It's kind of like a group. And I'm trying to understand now. Now I'm really keyed in. Now I'm listening, and I'm saying, what's going on? And they keep asking me this question. And the question is, can we see through your eyes? And I'm like, can you see through my eyes? I don't know. Can you see through my eyes? What? And they kept asking me the same question. And I realized that what they were asking permission, and they wanted to experience what I was experiencing. They were asking permission to come into me and have my experience with me. And I just kind of sit there for a minute, and I'm like,
that's very polite.
How do you process that? So I said, well, okay, let me think about it for a minute. And I said, well, is it going to hurt? And they said, no. And, am I going to know you're there? And they said, no. And I said, if I tell you to go away, will you go? And they said, yes. And I said, will I experience you? And they said, no. And I said, will there be any after effects? They said, no. And I said, no, it's not going to hurt. I'm not going to know you're there. It's not going to hurt. And if you go away, if I want you to go away, you'll go away, and there won't be any problems. Do I understand you correctly? And they said, yeah. And I said, okay, well, yeah, go ahead. And I put the headphones on. I went back to dancing. And the next morning, I wake up, and I'm like, what? 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 Huh? And it just didn't make any sense. And I guess I could have put it off to imagination. I could have, I don't know what, except that then all of a sudden my life went nuts, and there was all kinds of stuff happening all around here. And there were multiple, I don't know what you call them. I saw this huge, big mesomorphic thing, like darting between two trees. And I would have said it was a trick of the light, and my eyes are deceiving me, except the dogs went nuts. I had two of my dogs out there with me. And I've trained dogs for 50 years. I've competed.
As if on cue.
Thanks. Good job. Here's the cookie, right? Click treat. Yeah. So I had never heard dogs make a noise like this before. I've been around dogs my entire life, a lot of dogs, and in competition settings and everything. And they were barking and screaming at the same time. I've heard dog screams, and I heard dogs bark, but I've never heard a dog bark and scream at the same time. They were going nuts. So I brought them in. I wasn't scared, but I brought them in. And there was like this flashbulb, we call a flashbulb, which is a really intense, very short period of flashlight, and it's gone. And that was kind of down at the end of the driveway as well. And the dog saw it. And one dog came, I was sitting down, one dog came and sat right between my knees, and the other dog came and sat right behind me with her back right to me. And they had a dog on either side. So it was like stuff like that started happening. And and more and more and more stuff. And then I thought I was in crazy land.
Wow.
I went through a period of what I would call practically desperation. I thought I couldn't explain it. I couldn't say I was skipping gears because the dogs were experiencing it. And the worst part about it was I didn't have anybody to talk to about it. And I didn't have anybody that I felt like I could share it with, because everybody would think I was nuts.
That makes sense. I mean, It's easy to overthink yourself out of things.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you real quick.
Yeah.
How did you know that you weren't maybe gifted as a medium and that voices weren't spirits?
Well, that's a question that somebody who's experienced in the subject matter might ask, because I'd never been to a psychic. I'd never been to a medium. I didn't even know what they did. I mean, I just didn't come from that world.
Okay.
I mean, it's a reasonable question. And yeah, in retrospect, it probably could have been. I didn't even know to ask the question. So I started trying to eliminate problems, and there was phenomenon, all kinds of stuff in the house. So I had the Ghostbusters out, and I had the electromagnetic people come out, and I had the, you name it, everybody I could think of. I was desperate for some answers. And one night when I was on my computer, Googling all kinds of stuff, trying to figure every search term I could think of, trying to figure out what in the world was going on in my house and in my life, I ran across, actually it happened 3 nights in a row. A video came up from Dr. Greer, the original witness disclosure. What was it? Witness testimony, disclosure, witness testimony videos, and that he did way back in the 90s. And I put it off and didn't look. And then like the third time it came up on my search, I'm like, okay, fine, I guess I'll watch this. And I watched it and I was just like stunned. And I watched another one, and I watched another one. And then for the next 3 or 4 nights, because there's a bunch of them, for the next 3 or 4 nights, I sat up like till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning watching those videos, one after the other, after the other. And by the time I'd finished watching those disclosure videos, I was convinced. There was no doubt in my mind. This was real. It was a real thing. It was part of what was going on in my life. And I needed to get on an expedition with Dr. Greer. And within, I don't know, like 3-4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks maximum, there was an expedition announced, and I jumped on it and I got in, and I was still a basket case, but I went.
How did you meet him?
I met him there at the expedition.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So what they do is they take people out, and they spend a week at a remote location. And there's a lot of meditation, there's a lot of lectures, and then we got under the stars and do contact work every night.
Okay, so that's my other question. Like, so you were contacted, and I know you have more stories about things that you've seen and things that have happened, which hopefully you'll tell us too.
I got a lot of stories.
You're gonna have to tell us those. But okay. As if a person who has never been contacted, who's fascinated with this, wanted to make themselves more susceptible to being contacted, how would they go about that?
Well, what I tell people is the only thing that's really necessary is you go outside with an open heart, sit down on a rock, look up and say hello.
Okay.
And if you're really genuine and you really want to say hello and you really know they're there, it'll pay off. And it might not happen the first time or the second time, but if you go out on a regular basis and you look up and you ask for what you want and be specific about what kind of, you want to see something, you want to see a shooting star, you want to see a flash bulb, you want to see an anomalous light in the sky, you ask and you'll get it.
Okay.
Now, Linda, how remote are these places that you're going? Because I know a lot of times in the cities, you have a lot of the light from the city, the light pollution and everything, so you can't really see the stars. Are you guys going pretty far out, like in the country, so that you can have full exposure to the stars and the light pollution is as little as possible?
The darker it is, the better. When you go with Dr. Greer, he'll go places like Joshua Tree, which is out in Southern California. He'll go to Shasta. He'll go to a place in Arizona, and it's very, very dark skies. You can look online if you want to find dark skies. There's a dark sky map. I forget what the name, but you just Google dark sky map and it'll show you where the light pollution is and where the dark skies are. And dark skies are definitely better. Definitely. I mean, you know, it's more fun. There's a lot more to see and look at. Yeah.
I have found that there are a lot of like, let's say you see something in the sky. Like one time I was driving home from work several years ago and I saw like this giant flash in the sky. I'm pretty sure it was a shooting star. I went online and I went and found where there's a website that tracks things that are in the sky, and you can see where other people may or may not have seen. Like where they've seen it and what quadrant in the sky that they saw it in. And I'm like, okay, I wasn't the only one that saw that. Okay, I'm not crazy. I did see that flash in the sky. Okay,
I need to find that.
Yeah.
So, are there any? Eva's asking, is there anywhere in Florida that has dark skies?
Yeah. Actually, you don't have to go too far. There is a meetup group that meets in Darby, which is up Bellany Brothers Road, which is they're probably not. They're probably in Polk County, but maybe an hour from Tampa, maybe not even. Oh, and it's on Meetup, and I think it's called C5 or Ambassadors or Contact. I'm not sure. They meet regularly once a month. Just even here, like I'm up in Odessa, it's dark enough to go out. You're not seeing phenomenal stars, but you're asking them for contact and they'll find a way to make it happen. Okay. They'll find a way to, even if it's just a flash bulb, just like, just a little pop in the sky for you. They'll do something. They'll find a way.
So it's interesting. I don't know if anybody's seen the documentary Capturing the Light. It's on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
You did end up watching it?
Well, I'd seen it a long time ago. I wasn't certain which one you'd seen, but Capturing the Light is very good.
So it's a woman, for those who haven't seen it, there's a woman who has piles and piles and piles and compiled so much film over years and years and years of contact with other beings. And they always communicate with light. And it's interesting that everybody kind of has the same story about seeing light. And if you haven't seen Capturing the Light and you are interested in learning more about this, I would definitely recommend it. It's a very short documentary. It's like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's very, very interesting. So it seems that light seems to be the preferred way of communicating, which is really interesting. When you hear a lot of New Agers say, we are the light, we are all connected, we are one, everything is energy. It seems to all kind of flow where science, spirituality, and this all kind of goes hand in hand.
We do see a lot of light phenomena.
So, go ahead.
Well, I think that's because we're visual creatures.
That makes sense.
So let's have some thought experiments here. I'm going to blow your mind. Okay. So let's just imagine that we are not the only humans are not the first time the ETs have taken a new species through an introduction. Okay. Let's just imagine for a moment that those guys are the pros and we're the babies. So they're going to communicate to us in our way and in our primary understanding. Our eyes are dominant. So they're going to give us stuff to look at. I can tell you, though, that we also have, it's not uncommon to sense temperature changes. And we'll also have smells. And we have definitely been touched when nobody is there. Definitely, absolutely felt touches on our bodies when nobody is there. Now, I understand that also happens with, like ghost hunter phenomena. But we also have our other senses kind of tickled a little bit. And downloads as well. Like my very first night, and I told you I went on that expedition with Dr. Greer, my very first night in Circle, we had a phenomena, I forget the name, but we felt like there was spider webs on our lips. And there's some kind of name for that. It's an electromagnetic kind of thing. And I also had what I think was a download because I had this vision, and it was like looking at a Rolodex. Do you know what a Rolodex is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Our younger viewers might not, but I'm old enough to know what it is.
It's a little thing, and it's a circular thing, and these little paper cards sit in it, and you can roll it, and the cards kind of flip around. And it was like a Rolodex. Like I was seeing all these pictures like flash in front of my head. So I mean, you can get telepathy, you can hear things, smell things, you can be touched. There's a lot of phenomena, but sight is our dominant perception mode. So I think that they probably lean towards that. For us as humans.
Okay. So it sounds very similar to being a medium, because when the spirits contact living humans, it seems like a similar situation depending on the way the person can communicate. So it sounds really, really crazy similar. But then again, energy is energy, right?
Well, yeah. And there is a school of thought. Now, if anybody tells you they know who and what and exactly and all about ETs, just don't believe them. I don't think anybody does. So I'll give you a school of thought. There is a school of thought that when we're interacting with non-human intelligence, we're actually interacting with consciousness. When you're acting as a medium, you're interacting with consciousness. Okay. So there's an organization called FREE, F-R-E-E, the FREE organization. Mm-hmm. And they are an organization that deals, actually, I think they changed their name. It's CCR now. It's Contact and Consciousness Research Institute. And led by a fellow down in Miami way by the name of Ray Hernandez. And he had this massive, crazy download and had come to the conclusion, or was told, that all of these contact modalities are just different ways of interacting with consciousness. So there's the mediumship, spirits and ghosts, contact with non-human intelligence, shamanic experiences, psychedelic experience, out-of-body experience, near-death experience, meditation. These are all different methods of interacting with consciousness. And it looks like the deal is that human beings are being, I don't know if it's a function of where we are in space and our travel through the cosmos, or if it's a function of where we are as a species, or if it's just the clock, struck 10 and it's time for us to go meet consciousness. But it looks as though that's kind of what we're doing.
The age of Aquarius has hit.
Yes.
It is upon us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, if you'll explain some of the things that you've seen and had since you've opened up, but I also wanted to ask, has anyone told you what it is that they want to say? Like on the documentary, the woman explained what they wanted to say, and she said that they said that humanity was overstepping its bounds. We were starting to screw things up, and we were making things out of balance, and we needed to get back into balance for the rest of the galaxies to coexist peacefully.
Yeah. So it's a common theme.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's a couple different ways I've gotten messages vaguely like that. And I've heard a lot of channelers have messages that are very, very similar. Right. But I'll tell you this one. I was out walking in the property, and sometimes I'll just do that at night. I just feel like I want to be outside. And so I just, walk and take the dogs, and we just walk. And it was a big full moon, and I was looking at the full moon, and same kind of thing. I just let it happen. And I felt like I was having a conversation with her. And she told me something that I had never heard before, and I found kind of startling. And what she said is that the reason for all of this dysfunction, the reason for all of the weather dysfunction, is because the Earth and the moon need human consciousness to keep them synchronized and the energies flowing and the communication going back and forth. They are actually balanced and held in harmony by human consciousness. And human consciousness had become so fouled that it was no longer, the energies had broken down. And that is why we were having the weather disturbances we have on Earth. Now, I get it. I understand the sun. I totally get it. Changes in the sun, changes all over the entire solar system. I understand, some of the science of what's going on there, but this is what she told me. And it seemed to make sense, and it seemed to resonate. So, there could be that.
So in other words, they have to create turmoil for us to be more consciously aware and start thinking again.
No, I think we've gone too far. We've spoiled the energy. We've spoiled the milk. We've spoiled the connection. Our energetic signature on this planet has become so
toxic,
negative, and dysfunctional that it no longer serves the purpose that human consciousness needs to serve. So everything is now going out of whack.
So here's a crazy, crazy, crazy theory that I've had. And I'm known for my crazy, crazy theories.
Yeah.
So all the things, this will not shock Colin even a little bit. All the things that have been going on the past 2.5 years with all the, take all the conspiracy theories together, whether it's the COVID, the vaccine, the everything going on, the government, the censorship, everything going on, the stones in Georgia talking about reducing the population.
Yeah.
What if, crazy conspiracy here, what if all the stuff that's going on that we are unhappy about and see as a danger, what if this is actually for the better good of humanity, that they have been contacted and this is their way of trying to get things back in balance and get things back in order. And the only way that they can do it to contain humanity without humanity actually knowing that they're being contained, because they don't want to freak people out by saying, we're going to population reduce and we're going to try and keep you guys in line a little bit.
Okay. Well, did you ever study Ra, the Law of One? Ra, the Ra channeling?
No.
Okay. So there was this, like, kind of like the original channels was back in the 70s sometime. And it was like very stringent. And they had, I mean, it was like, once you read about how they did it and what they did, it was pretty amazing. And they channeled what they call themselves a social memory complex, which I guess was a 6th density civilization or being. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that Ra talks about is the harvest. Well, the harvest is apparently a harvest of souls, because the all the forces in the planet are divided in 2 basic camps: service to self and service to others. And so you're either completely selfish and it, you know, it wasn't not the Borg, sorry, it's Star Trek. Worf was a, help me out. Worf was a
Klingon.
Thank you. The Klingons, and they would battle, and like one guy would win, and he's like top dog, right? And they were service to self. So there is a theory, and it's pretty out there, that there is occasionally some things that happen. It might be a natural perturbation in our galaxy, that these sheets of energy just come out occasionally and cause some real serious problems. And it could be that's naturally built into the system. So another part of it is that human beings we're creator beings. And we create thoughts, memories, experiences, and everything in the universe is the creator experiencing itself. So there is source, and source has created everything. And the reason source creates all this stuff is that source can experience. Like if you were like, you know, what would you do? I'm like, oh, well, okay, I'll make these things and see how it works out. And I'll make something else, see how it works out. But that data's got to get back to source somehow, right? So I don't know, maybe the idea is that when we expire in our bodies, just these human bodies, because our spirit never expires, our spirit never dies, you know, and our spirits take this information back to source, recombine with source, and then we go out and do it all over again. So the harvest might be a method of bringing information back to source when source is ready to start another go round. That was kind of a long explanation, and nobody else says that. That's my own little theory. Yeah. I've wrapped up a whole bunch of theories into one, but there you go.
I like it. I think, although, you know, I like theories. I like thinking. I like critical thinking. So, you know.
I'm guessing.
I like it. I like it a lot. So
going back to something that you said, April, the one time I feel like I've ever been contacted, I was in like deep thought, and I was thinking about the book of Revelation for some reason. And then there's the line in Revelations where it talks about the spirits are coming back on this earth, right? And then out of nowhere, I swear I heard something whispering, and it wasn't just one person. It was like multiple whispers that was just like, we're here. And then that's when it took
like the dog barking when she was talking about the dog.
That's when it took my mind out of it, because I'm like, all right, I just thought about the part in Revelations where it talks about the spirits will come back to earth in the end times, and then it just said we're here.
Like,
someone
just
told me we're here.
So I'm guessing this is the end times then.
This is not good.
Look around.
Yeah.
It's not just you.
This is not,
yeah, but it's not, it's not good from our teeny tiny little human perspective. And when you understand that everybody who dies goes back to source, right? We all go back to where we came from. It makes it a little easier to take. And I understand that if you're, I used to be afraid to die. And I have absolutely no fear. I don't want to suffer. I'm not keen about the dying process, but I have absolutely no fear of going to the other side. And there are days when I think it might be a good idea. But you know what I mean? Not really. It's just a joke. It's just a joke.
But, I get it, though. I understand.
Yeah. It's like, oh, man, this gig is just like too tough. And I'm done. But I'm not.
Cam, there is no hell. That is... Heaven and hell. Heaven. A lot of that stuff was written by men to control other men. There is no hell. Sorry to disappoint you.
Yeah, there's probably there almost certainly is not a hell.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say. I'm not sorry to say. I'm sorry to disillusion you. I don't want to pop the bubble.
Yes. But welcome everybody else who has joined us. Thank you for coming in. We're seeing you. I just didn't want to interrupt to say hi because this is fascinating. So, what else have you seen? After that initial contact, what other experiences have you had?
Well, you name it.
No, you name it. I want to hear your story.
Okay. Well, people always like to hear about the physical stuff. So I saw a full physical 3D chevron-shaped craft fly up a valley in Arizona, probably doing about 5,000 miles an hour, completely silent. And that same night, I'll tell you, it was gorgeous. There was one light in the, we had a chevron shape, one light at the front and two lights on the back wings that was trailing this phosphorescent trail. And it had kind of a very, very faint round kind of circle around it. And it was only there for a few seconds, but it was stunning. Wow. Probably not that same night, but that same expedition in Arizona with Dr. Greer, we saw. Oh, and I saw them out over the water in Miami one time, and I saw them another time in Southern California. Sort of like these LED lights. If you took a faint glowing LED light and put it in a cloud and kind of moved it around, I've seen lights like that. And actually, it was so close to us, we could see it move out of the cloud. But then when it didn't have the cloud to shine on it, it was very dim. And that would move into another cloud and it would be over there. So I've seen lights like that. I've seen a portal and I didn't know what it was. This was in the beginning. And it was just this like a square, flat plane that was faintly glowing and was just like hanging there in midair and scared the living bejesus out of me. And so, yeah, I've had encounter close enough that they shut down my equipment. One time I was with a friend and he wanted face-to-face ET contact. And I'm like, be careful what you ask for, dude. It's like, you got to be specific about this, right? So, we took a little break and then we kind of were heading on our way back out to, where we do our little circle thing. And he saw a mist and I had a night vision iPhone set up. And so I grabbed it and kind of, thought maybe I could capture it. And it completely powered down my iPhone instantly and zapped my night vision. And the night vision got a little bit better over the rest of the night and recovered by the end of the night. It was kind of back to normal, but it took all night for the night vision to recover. So that was pretty cool. I've got like tons and tons and tons of photographs. Orbs. Oh, I had an orb fly through me. I had a friend come over and like, hey, what's the deal with the orbs? I never really thought about it. And so she was talking about it and telling me how to see them and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I got to show you this thing, right? And I stood up from where I was sitting and, turned and moved and an orb just materialized like maybe less than 3 feet away from me and just came straight at me and started to dematerialize when it got like about here and then just continued as far as I know because it dematerialized and I would have flown straight through me. And I was seeing orbs for a while after that. And it's been a little while. I mean, I haven't seen any in a while. So, or flash bulbs. I've seen skyquakes where the sky, it's hard to describe, but if you see one, you know what it is. It's like the sky just kind of like, flutters or jitters. I've seen sky rifts where crafts would fly into a spot in the sky and just disappear. I've seen, oh wow, some crazy craft way up in the sky. We thought there were lights, but you see the photographs, you can see it's like this massive, huge craft with a mast going up and a mast going down. I think they showed that craft in Dr. Greer's movie. Great big, huge kind of squarish kind of craft with a mast up and a mast down.
And that's Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, right?
Yeah, his most recent movie. Yeah. Gosh, I mean, there's so much stuff I've sensed and talked to many beings. I saw another being. There's these beings. I don't know what they are. They're very, very faint, and they're very tall, like a pole, and like 12 or 15 feet tall, and just kind of like a pole, like a I don't know. You know, we're not dealing with humans here. I don't know what it is, and it scared me. And it was so funny. I had this piece of paper in my hand, and I just turned around and I saw it, and I just like freaked, and I just took the piece of paper, I like waved the paper, and I like go away. And turn around, like, you know, and then I finally got my courage up, and I turned around and it was gone. I'm like, oh, I blew it. I blew it. Well, but it took me by surprise, and I didn't expect it to be there. It kind of freaked me out.
Oh my God.
We've seen things where people materialize and dematerialize. A couple different times. I've seen, just all kinds of neat stuff in the sky flashing around. I've seen a symbol painted in the sky for me. I've seen.
What was it? Was it something it would mean something to you?
I don't know. I think it was some kind of download message that I don't understand yet. It was a string of either circles, or if you took a slinky. Mm-hmm. And you laid a slinky flat, not round, but you kind of laid a slinky flat, and you could see how the little circles are all laying right on top of each other, right? Mm-hmm. It was kind of like that.
Like spirals?
Yeah, it was either a spiral or a bunch of little circles laid on top of each other, but the pattern was so close together that I couldn't tell which it was. And it was almost like there was a little bit of syntax to the message, because a couple of the circles right at the very end were just slightly different. You know, it's kind of like a beginning and an end. And I've seen stuff in the daylight, like sitting and watching contrails, like in the sky, and where there's like two contrails, right? And then they start to shift, and they're some of are like triangles and some angles, and two, instead of being this way, we're just completely opposite. Like, and it was like writing in the sky, like from a plain contrail, and it just adapted and changed itself into this writing stuff.
Wow.
I mean, and this is just like a tip of the iceberg. I don't know. And I got to tell you, obviously the question is, why me? And I don't know. I don't know. And I ask myself that all the time. The only thing I can say is maybe it's because I just have an open heart and I believe in them. And I don't believe in the bad ETs. And I just believe that they're there, and I believe that they love us. I take the Dolores Cannon view of extraterrestrials. If you know who Dolores Cannon was, she invented past life regressions. She's passed now. Okay. Fascinating. She invented QHHT, the quantum healing hypnosis technique.
Okay.
And I guess, like, from the very beginning, I realized, Dr. Greer talks about how consciousness is fundamental. And it's all about consciousness. And I realized right off that he was right. And I dove straight into consciousness, hook, line, and sinker. And I've took remote viewing and studied remote viewing extensively, and with the top guys. And I studied meditation and consciousness accessing with Tom Campbell. He invented binaural beats. And with Bob Monroe at the Monroe Institute, I've been to the Monroe Institute a couple of times. I mean, when this all started and my life blew up, I had just sold my business, right?
Maybe that's why you were chosen, because they knew that you would actually follow through and do these things and speak out about it, and go. You would go with it. You'd run with it.
I was just crazy enough.
If you have an open heart and an open mind to these things, you're more of an open beacon for them to come through and shine. And like she said, she doesn't have any ill thoughts of any of it. So,
I think that goes a long way. Yeah.
One of our listeners or watchers wanted to ask about what he was asking if you feel the Bermuda Triangle. Where was that original one? Where'd it go? Did you find that? He was asking if you felt that might be a portal or if people got transported back and forth there. And I was wondering along those same lines, why there are so many sightings out in Malibu in California. It seems like that Lake Malibu gets a whole lot of sightings in that one area. So, and these are both bodies of water, you know, got Bermuda and Malibu. Is there any kind of, I don't know.
I think those are two really interesting places, and I think there's two really interesting explanations for them. So Malibu's the quick, easy one. Malibu, there was supposedly a base, an extraterrestrial base. There's a very deep trench off of Malibu, and there's supposedly, and I don't know if that's true or not, or if it's ours. We do have the technology. The problem of gravitics, people say anti-gravity, but actually gravitics was solved like in the 50s. And I think we have some really amazing stuff. And I think a lot of the stuff we see in the sky that we identify as ET is actually our own.
I was just to say that too. It's our own test flights with our own technology, seeing how far we can go, and people don't know how far ahead we are.
Yeah, but there's something out there.
I feel like the only sighting I've ever had, I was at the beach. Two of my friends in high school, we were on top of the crow's nest of my aunt's beach house. And we were looking out towards the ocean, and there was a red light, and it was just dancing all over the sky. Oh, yeah. Now, and it was as far out to where it wasn't a boat, right? Because a boat would be moving with the flow of the ocean. Now that was years and years ago. I was in high school when this happened, like years ago. Yeah. And now in my time of thinking about it, I'm like, it could have been a kite. Maybe somebody had a light on a kite, but why would it just be this little red light? Like that's kind of weird too, because if you get a kite out far enough, it's going to whip around and do some things like that. But I don't think a kite is going to take these dips and these moves that this red light was taking. And all three of us were up there. We didn't have any binoculars, but we're all seeing this, like, what is that? Like, and hitting each other. Like, that's not a boat. It's like a red light. If somebody took a laser pointer, they were shining it in the camera right now. It was just doing like this,
like an LED,
just out over the ocean. It was crazy. We didn't know what it was.
I don't know what it was, but it's cool, right?
Yeah. And the only thing I can chalk it up to is a kite. That's the only thing that I can think of in this world that would be moving like that.
But you're thinking in this world, you're thinking inside the box.
Well, but that's the only, but of course, in this box that because again, if you've watched shows like Ancient Aliens and things like that before, they talk about, people say, oh, well, we see dragons and things in the sky because that's what they have to relate it to in these stories that they're telling of aliens and seeing extraterrestrials and things like that. So in my head, I have to think about what in reality could move like that. There's no human that's going to be moving that fast like that. So it's got to be a kite or something in the wind. I don't think a bird fighting with a light, some bird just fighting with an LED light out in the sky. It had to, in our minds, it had to be a UFO or some sort of flying thing out there that was moving like that. And then it just disappeared. Then the light was just gone. Like, there just wasn't there anymore.
And there's no explanation.
None whatsoever.
I get it. But you did the right thing. Yeah, I mean, you watched it, you observed it, you tried to find a physical, and I try very, very, very hard to find a reasonable, real world physical explanation for the things that I see. I don't just say, ET. It's got to be really, I try very, very hard to find some kind of explanation that is real world and, physical and human for this kind of stuff.
You don't go 0 to 60.
No, you gotta look, and it gets easier as time goes on. You don't get jaded, but you get, a lot more settled. Like, okay, maybe this, maybe that, and what you begin to learn over time what some of the things might be. So you can kind of hopefully sort of figure it out. But let me tell you about about Bimini now, because Bimini is very, very cool.
This is Bermuda?
Bermuda.
Okay, yeah, because I did screw that up. He said
Bermuda, not Bimini.
Huh?
Bermuda?
Yeah, he said, then do those who went through the Bermuda Triangle, they got transported and come back and check on us from time to time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Bermuda Triangle, actually, the very top end of the Bermuda Triangle is Bermuda. And that's the very top part, but the main part of the triangle is down a lot lower, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Okay, so now we're going to go to Atlantis. So Atlantis was real.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Because I had a medium or psychic tell me I was actually from Atlantis at one point.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. We recycle. We recycle. Atlantis was a big deal in its day.
That's what she said. She says a very peaceful people and a peaceful city, and they lived a certain way.
Yeah. So the Earth, and I know this is, I know this for sure because I spent a couple of weeks hanging out with Randall Carlson, and I don't know if anybody out there knows who Randall Carlson is, but he's a kind of a geologist, catastrophism, astrologer, sacred geometry, architect, kind of, super brain guy. And he takes people out and to look at the landscapes and see evidence of past cataclysmic floods in the landscape. And then what we've learned, and you can, if you watch Joe Rogan, he was on Joe Rogan, I think it was episode 606.
Okay.
Anyway, Randall Carlson, and he'll show you the actual data from the Greenland ice cores. And what's happened is the sea level has risen and fallen hundreds of feet in basically like an instant, a geologic instant. They don't know if it was days or weeks or months, but it wasn't a lot of years. And literally the sea level is rising 300-400 feet. So the Earth has gone through phenomenal cataclysmic changes. So there is no doubt about the fact that Atlantis, in my mind, that Atlantis was real. Atlantis probably stretched all the way from Africa all the way over here to the Americas. Atlantis was probably where the Atlantic Ocean is now in large part. Okay. So the Bermuda Triangle, particularly down by Bimini, you've heard about the Bimini Road, no. Okay. Well, the Bimini Road is a structure that they found underneath the water in Bimini. And it appears as though there is some remaining old structures there from what might have been part of Atlantis. Okay, that's Atlantis. Now we're going to go to portals. Portals can be created and portals can be natural. Portals are an electromagnetic, well, not all of them. I mean, there's different kinds of portals, but you can have a portal that is basically an electromagnetic. Think about it this way. You've got a river and there's a part in the river where it goes like really fast and there's no rocks and the stream flow is very even and just is easy to follow. And you can sit in a boat and it takes you, right? In that part of the river. And there's no rocks and it's not shallow, it's nice and deep. Okay, well, that's kind of the idea of a portal. It's magnetic lines. And the craft, the people who come here in physical 3D craft follow these magnetic lines, right? And they follow lines of magnetism. And that's where when you come out of that, that's a portal. And I've seen a portal open and close. And I've had, do you know who Sergeant Clifford Stone is?
No, but I'm writing all these names down. I will afterwards.
Okay. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, I'm opening so many different tabs. The minute you say something different,
right,
I open a new tab on my browser.
Clifford told me that, every now and then there's like this big explosion, like up in the Arctic or something. And last time they said it was like a transformer or something exploded. You could hear it over like 600 miles. He says when they bring the craft in, normally they come in over the poles, because they can come in and it can make like these big noises like this, right? Every now and then they miscalculate and probably the magnetic lines shift a little bit and then they come in a little closer to civilization than they wanted to, but sometimes they come out and they just hit the atmosphere. They're going a little too fast or something and bam, boom, big bada boom. So, okay, so portals exist. There's lots of different kinds of portals. They follow portals coming in. So Now we got back to Atlantis. Now we're going to tie Atlantis and portals together here. Okay. So it's very possible. The Atlanteans supposedly had a much better knowledge of natural forces than we do today. I mean, if we think about other civilizations that have gone by the wayside, we think, well, they must have been just like us. So where's the buildings, right? Okay, maybe not. Maybe they had a whole different shtick going on. And supposedly one of the things they had going on back then that we've sort of lost track of in this go round is natural forces, things like crystals and rocks, energy and vibration, and that includes magnetism and portals. And the story is that perhaps these portals or magnetic structures are naturally stimulated during certain alignments of the planet. So it could be an alignment of, time or energy or, and I'm trying to think now, I'm thinking back what I was told, but something to do with the solstice, maybe. At any rate, a certain alignment of the earth and the moon and the sun, and that stimulates this portal to come into existence and start to function again for a short period of time. And I'll end that with the one more story. I remember the flight of the planes who took off from, I think it was Fort Lauderdale and got lost. And it was like 6 X6 fighters or whatever it was. I know that story is true because I knew a guy whose dad was flying one of those planes and disappeared. So it's a true story. I mean, it's not made up. And I knew the son of one of the guys who disappeared.
There's other stories out there like that of people just teleporting as well. Like there was a guy that was out skiing and they found him like out in California. Like he was on one side of the United States and they found him out in California in like 80, 90 degree weather in a full ski outfit. Like he had just came down the mountain and he was like, I was just skiing. And then I was here in California. Like, has no clue how he got there.
I heard that story. It's supposedly documented. Yep, it was supposedly documented and supposedly real. Did you hear the one about the guy who disappeared in the prison yard?
No.
He's just walking along, shackled to the other prisoners, and just like dissolves.
The ultimate
gone.
Escape right there.
Shackles left behind.
Oh wow!
Really?
That's ideal. That's ideal.
But that would be one of the cities. When I say cities, I mean SIDDHI, and it's supposedly one of the magical powers that people have when you're really adept at consciousness and meditation and the higher powers of the mind, which is, a lot of stuff. And I can tell you that humans are vastly underrated. We have no idea how incredible we are and the things we can do. And if most people knew, they would just be flipped out.
Well, you got me thinking about some other things, Linda, because I used to live in an Air Force base town.
Oh boy.
And you talking about the sonic booms and the noises and everything. They had everyone in that town conditioned to the sonic booms because they tested the C-130s and a lot of the big airplanes. So you almost every day you would be outside and just want a random boom. You would just hear the sonic booms throughout the day from the Air Force of them, I guess, testing the planes or doing whatever, right? So you would never know if, like you said, if they're bringing an extraterrestrial aircraft in or anything from a portal with the booms, because everybody, they're just flying the fighter jets. They're just doing the normal testing that they do. That's how everybody was. And in that area, there was a pecan farm that was owned by the federal government that was sectioned off. And the rumor was that if you went out there, you wouldn't get about 100 feet in there before military police were like on you, arresting you. And it's a pecan farm. Now the rumors about that place too are that it's a missile silo because of where the city is on the side of the country in Georgia and everything. It's a strategic point or whatever, but you never know. You don't know what they could be doing down there. It's not pecans.
Alexa,
that's some pretty special pecans, I'm telling you.
Alexa says Bermuda Triangle, Area 51, aliens. Why does mankind always want to explain everything? There are things that just cannot be explained.
Okay.
I think sometimes our detriment is needing to know the answer, and sometimes we just don't have the technology or the ability to know the answer quite yet. So therefore it creates almost like a situation where if we can't figure out the answer, then we label it as false. So you can't possibly have experienced this thing, or this doesn't actually exist because we haven't proven it yet. It's not peer reviewed. It's not blah, 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 blah. So therefore, it's fake news. So, we can be very, whereas instead of just accepting it, like, we don't know.
I don't understand not wanting to know. It's like, I'm one of those curious types. It's like, hey, what's that? And all the people go, I don't know, don't pay any attention. I'm like, hey, that's the good stuff. What?
I'm the same way. I'm very curious. I gotta dig deep.
Right. That's ordinary. We got that. Let's go look at the cool stuff. It's like, what's going on over there? That might be something we never saw before. It's like, why would you want to go to the Grand Canyon? Because you never saw it before.
Yeah. Why would you want to try that ice cream? You've never had that flavor.
Exactly. So why do you want to know what's going on there? Because I don't know.
So you said something. So all these you said about the aliens or the the contactors having these powers to have shut your phone down and taken away your night vision.
Yeah.
So since they have these powers on us, what powers would we have on them? What are we not developing that we have? Now, I've seen people have pretty amazing psychic powers, pretty amazing mediumship where they can speak to those who have passed. And of course, those people are also saying, oh, that's not real. That's not real. And there are people out there that say they can do it who can't do it. And then there's people who are real. But what kind of, mind powers do we have that we're just sitting on and not developing and not using? And how do we develop it?
Yeah. Okay. So, wow.
Where's our magic?
Where's our magic? Okay. Humans are creator beings, according to, again, back to Dolores Cannon. And humans, and somebody else, and I've forgotten now, but humans are intended to be creator beings. If we get through all our trials and tribulations in 1 billion years from now, we will have the same creator powers as gods. We can create universes and galaxies and whatever the beings are now who are currently the creator beings. So in our infancy form right now, our thoughts are incredibly powerful. And you've heard of the law of one and manifestation. Well,
string theory. When you think of somebody you haven't thought of in a while and all of a sudden they contact you.
Synchronicity. Yeah. So how does that happen? Well, we don't really know. We'd like to know, but we don't really know. So I'll tell you this, that because I've studied remote viewing and I got really interested in that, I've played with telekinesis, moving things, moving objects, just with your mind.
So we're Jedis. We're Jedis.
Well, we are. We're mostly mental Jedis. I don't know how good we are at telekinesis. Some people are very, very good. I won't tell you that story. Okay, moving on.
Wait, what?
Back to the mental stuff. Hold up. So I studied remote viewing, and the things that you can know without knowing it's amazing. The conversations you can have with each other, just complete total telepathy, is absolutely amazing. It's true. Now, what Lynn Buchanan said. Now, Lynn Buchanan was in the Stargate program, the psychic spying program. So what Lynn has said is that there are 4 types of ETs. Now, I don't mean like 4 species or each species is like consistent, but within all of the different kinds of ETs and every ET, there is 4 distinct types. And one is those that are psychic and like us, those that are psychic and don't like us, those that aren't psychic and don't like us, those that aren't psychic and do like us. Okay. All right. So if they are psychic and they don't like us, they would probably prefer we don't exist. Okay, because we're probably an existential threat to them. We may have more powers than them, but they're not allowed to come here. We're a protected species. The planet is protected, and we're way off in this tiny little backwater anyway. Okay, here's another one for you. Lonnie,
wait. We're a protected species?
Yeah.
Why?
Because we're babies.
We're endangered. We're endangered.
We're babies. Species. We're babies. You got to give the babies a chance to grow up.
Okay. There was like a show on HBO that called Raised by Wolves where we were endangered. So I was like,
no.
Okay,
well, and it's not like they're out to get us or destroy us or something, but I think there are probably species out there that prefer that we don't exist, but they're not here. And I don't believe in bad ETs. And it's not like they're bad ETs. It's just that there might feel some existential threat because our psychic powers are really exceptional. We can see forward in time. We can see backward in time. We can see across the universe, across the galaxy. There's nothing we can't see if we want to put our minds to it.
Like astral travel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah. Out of body. Yep. It's all in there. So there's those.
The minute it makes sense with the men who stare at goats, with the viewing, the remote viewing and stuff like that too. Go ahead, Linda.
Yeah. Because I've studied remote viewing. I know what you can do with it. It's pretty incredible. So then there are the psychic ones that like us. They do come here. There are the ones who aren't psychic and don't like us. They just don't come here. Okay. And they're the ones that aren't psychic and do like us, and they do come here. So I think basically that our powers, okay, here's the deal. Oh my Lord, humans. Oh my Lord. Oh my God. The things we do to each other. The number of humans that have been killed by humans in the last century alone is something like 450 million human beings. And you think we got to worry about the ETs? I mean, holy crap. The things we do to each other, just even physical, much less emotional, psychological. I don't even want to list them because it's so freaking ugly. And when I start to go down that rabbit hole, I stop and go, wait. There are people who take in other people's children and raise them. There are people who will stop and rescue an injured animal from alongside the road and nurse it back to health and then release it. One of my very good friends is Raptor Center of Tapper Bay, and she rescues just all kinds of birds and things. And they can use help, by the way. So there are humans have like this huge span of good and evil. It's like, what's going on there, right? I think it's the battle is between us and us. And I think that we haven't reached a certain spiritual level. And I think that is now what all this consciousness interaction is all about. All of this now, I think, is about trying to sponsor a kind of spirituality within humans to get us to get our act together and behave like we're not primates. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
like we're not chimpanzees and we're going to rip each other to shreds for the smallest.
That makes the most sense of anything I've heard in a long time.
Okay, Paul, I'm going to plug in another piece here and blow your mind. Okay, so what if the reason for that is because of Neuralink? What if the reason for that is in the next generation, we are really going to get plugged into computers? And if we get plugged into computers and we're ripping each other to shreds, what's going to happen? Right? So if we get plugged into computers, we better be able to have some kind of spiritual basis to get us over the hump. We got to, okay. But bottom line, you can waste time and energy and effort. This is Coda. You're going to waste time and energy and effort fighting, battling, killing, struggling, whatever. Or you can just come together and work out a solution and work together. One is infinitely wasteful. The other is infinitely conservative. And I mean conservative, and you're conserving energy, you're conserving time, you're conserving money, you're conserving, everything. So you work together and you're productive, or you continue to fight and you blow yourself up. It's pretty much that simple. If we're going to survive, we're going to have to find our spiritual center. And that's the thing. With all of these access points to consciousness, it seems like every single time people get interacting with consciousness, they turn into better people. And that happened to me. And I can tell you, I'm a much better person today than I have ever been in my entire life. I continue to get better. It's a work in progress. Trust me. No saint. But yeah. And everybody I know that has gone through a lot of contact in consciousness has turned out to be a better and better person.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So one of our viewers, Winona, says, do you believe that people with special needs are more in tune with such powers, more so than neurotypical people?
I think they can be. Yeah.
I know. I was just thinking about how we have so many more people with autism on the spectrum now than we ever used to.
There might be a good reason for that.
With everything you just said, I was thinking that as well.
Well, okay, here's the next piece of that puzzle. Again, back to Dolores Cannon. She said that, many people say that the reason that you incarnate into human bodies is because this is like PhD program. You don't get to incarnate into human because human experience is very slow. It's very dense and it's very difficult, but it's difficult on purpose. This is like the PhD program. This is where you come and learn the really hard lessons. You can learn more in, one lifetime as a human than you can in as a billion years as, say, a light being or a thought being, right? Or an energy being, because the challenges are so difficult here. Before you drop into being a human being, you say, okay, this is the stuff I want to learn. All right, so give me this challenge and this challenge and this challenge and this challenge, and let me go and let me see if I can do it. And a lot of people don't get it right, and they say, okay, I gotta have another bite of that apple. Let me go back. I'm going to reincarnate and do it again. But here's the deal: for those overachievers who say, right, I'm going to knock this thing out of the park, you just lay it on me. Don't hold back. And I'm going to give me the smorgasbord and make it really, really, really tough because I'm going to learn all of my lessons in one lifetime. Those are the people who are born with major handicaps and major struggles and, major problems in life. These are the people who are born very disadvantaged, without money, without intelligence, without good families, without an education, without functioning bodies, without functioning brains, without whatever it is, whatever the major challenge is. Those are the souls who said, I'm willing to go do the really tough go here. And these are the lessons I want. Go for it. And I think this is my personal, that there is so much of that here and now, because humankind is going to get, the tree is going to get trimmed. And if you want that experience, you have to get in here and get it now. So, because there's going to be, according to Dolores Cannon, the waiting line for handicap type situations is much longer than the waiting line for normal humans. So I think that, if you want to get it, you got to get it now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty profound.
Weird. Yeah. Pretty weird, huh?
So the old souls are the ones that are being punished over and over and over again.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Hey, and it could be a new soul. A new soul could be so foolish just to say, okay, I got this human thing down. Just pop me in that thing, baby. It's like, you have to let me out. Well, and I think that it actually accounts for things like crib death and young children. There could be dying very early. There could be souls that say, I just want this little taste. Give me a little bit and then let me out. And, that can be arranged. There could be children that incarnate. Okay. So let's say the challenge I wanted was, when I popped in here, was I wanted to know what it would be like to not be able to have children, to want children very badly, to procreate very badly, but not be able to do that. So you might need a soul to come in as a baby that dies, and maybe another soul to come in as another baby that dies. And the idea that we plan this entire thing from soup to nuts before we come in. And I was told by someone who is widely touted as the most psychic man in America that he believes that before we enter this life, every single second is planned, not in broad strokes, not in, blah, 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 but every single second. I can't wrap my head around that. I'm not challenging him. I'm just saying I can't.
That's like living in the Matrix.
Well, I think we do live in the matrix, but every single second plan, like there's no, like all these words that are coming out of my mouth right now were planned before I popped into this life. It's like, funny. I feel like I'm making up these words as I go.
You're playing a video game and this is your avatar.
Right. Well, I plan to play solitaire. You're saying?
Yeah. Some things in your video game will give you life. Some things will wear you down. Certain people will wear you down.
Okay. Or whatever.
Okay. Does anybody out there have any questions?
Well, look, even in the creation story, God took a day of rest. So Linda, he wants you to play solitaire. He plans the solitaire part in your day where you can have some time to take a rest.
And I want you to know I appreciate it because I need it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Oh, that's too funny.
Wow, that is so interesting. Well, thank you for sharing your story with us. I know we've gone a little bit over time. Where can people find more of you?
I tell you what, HowTube is probably the best.
Okay.
The Once Upon a Phenomena on HowTube, and because I don't know what's going to happen with the movie. I do have a movie in production, and we do have a Facebook page for that, but we're probably going to I might need to rename the movie because we're going to kind of refashion the storyline. It's a long story. So I'd say HowTube, Once Upon a Phenomena. And maybe in another year or so when things are starting to happen, I'll come back and tell you guys what's up with the movie, and hopefully we'll be able to launch it then. And
I would absolutely love to have you back, and
thank you.
I hope your movie kicks ass. So.
Well, I'm gonna do my best. I'm working on it. Working on it. Yeah.
So I want to say thank you for being a part of our show. And before we go, we lost one of our people this past week. We lost George Perez, who is a very famous, very well-known comic book creator. And if you see the icon on the front here, his right there is one of his books. I was one of his models, and I wanted to just say that George is one of those people who actually lived. In his 76 years, he lived. So unlike so many people who just merely exist, and what you saw with him always smiling and laughing, that was actually him. So he really put a lot of joy into the world, and a lot of smiles and a lot of laughter into the world. So I just wanted to say, that it's sad that we've lost him. And we lost him on, like free comic book weekend too, of all ironic times.
You probably
but he was he was genuine, as Jamie says, and Jamie would know, he's met him multiple times. He was genuine, he was real, he was a good human being, and it's our loss that he has moved on. But I was very, very fortunate to work with him, and it gave me a lot of opportunities I would not have had. And I'm grateful. So if you guys have not seen the last series he ever worked on was called Sirens. The character of Agony was mine. It was this little 6-book series. So if you ever want to check out his last works, I'm in that.
Can you find it on the web?
You can find everything on the web.
Sirens,
yes.
Okay.
So anyway, I just wanted to mention that while it was current and say that. So
I'm sorry I didn't get to meet him.
Yeah, he was a good person. We lost Neil Adams right before him, so it's just weird. We had back-to-back legendary comic book creators go. So it was a sad loss for the comic book world, but they left a lot for the generations behind them. They left a lot of laughter and art. So
good for them.
They lived well. So yeah. If you live well, you're doing a good job. Make sure you live well.
Yeah.
So,
yep. Live well, live bold, have fun.
Yeah. Don't squander your time. Time is something you can't get more of. So spend it wisely and spend it on people who would spend theirs on you.
Indeed.
So anyway, Linda Martuch, thank you for being with us. You guys
keep
tabs on her, and thank you for spreading your knowledge. And I feel like I learned so much, and I feel like things make more sense now. So thank you so much for being somebody who puts a little bit more of the puzzle pieces together for me. I feel like every time I talk to people who are smarter than I am, and people have more experience than I do, I feel like all these little puzzle pieces come together, and it's forming this really interesting outlook on life for me, and I appreciate it. And I feel like a lot came together today, so thank you.
You're very welcome. So if there's anything I would leave your readers with, it's try to appreciate how beautiful humans really are. I think that's one thing as humans we desperately just miss it. And I know we get angry and frustrated and pissy, and I'm no better than anybody else. But when you can plug into the absolute beauty of the human soul, it's transformative.
And I would say, let's look into figuring out how to develop our Jedi mind powers.
Okay. Yep.
Let's figure that out. Because if we have superpowers we're not using.
Oh yeah.
I mean, come on, guys. What do we do?
April, I don't know if you need the ability to force choke people. I don't know. April's going to be in traffic just force choking people.
I will be. I'll be like, get out of my way.
You know something? You can do that. You can move traffic.
Oh, we're going to be talking about how
I taught myself how to do that.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually was very inspired by Men Who Stare at Goats, and I started doing it with green lights. I started doing it to where I wanted everything to turn green lights as I was approaching or stay green.
Yeah.
And it was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It was doing it.
Yep.
I would sit there and be like, I want all green lights. And I see a red light, I'd be like, turn green. And I go, turn green. And I actually just was working on it like that. So
you can move traffic the same way on the highway.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like I've kind of got an idea of how you do it. I just got to fine tune it and stay on it.
Just practice. Mm-hmm. Right. Practice.
Work on my cloud bursting skills. All right, everybody who has been here, thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching. You can see more of us on the A Show on Patreon and Twitch. Join us. We will be here again 7:30 next week. Go ahead, Colin. What have we got? We've got beauty tips.
Oh, so we've got a CEO of Hear Me Raw, Mike Endersky, is coming to join the show next week. He's going to have beauty tips and all kinds of other shenanigans. Mike's a very fun guy to be around. So
we're gonna drop some more knowledge on you next week, and everybody has to do a little flexing at the end of the show. We call it twitching on Twitch. We do some packed flex. Yes. So thanks everyone for being in, and we're doing our flexing. There we go.
Flexing.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much. You guys have a great night, and we will see you next week.
Bye, guys. Thank you. Okay, get down.
Hey, thank you so much for being on. We appreciate it.